So, are we back? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Grant Hakim Show on the road edition. On my way to work, I thought it'd be fun to film a little mini episode while we commute. Lots to talk about with the New York Islanders in terms of new players that have signed and that Lou Lamoriello have acquired. Very interesting moves, and I think it tells a lot about what Lou Lamoriello is going to do at this upcoming trade deadline. And we'll also, if we have time, I don't know if we can touch on this, but we can talk more about the Colorado game where they won amazingly. That was a fun game to watch, actually. We can talk about that game. The goalie interference against Sorokin was a goalie interference. We'll have another debate on that because I feel like every show that we've done, we've touched on the goalie interference. And then if we have time, I guess the broader NHL news that we can talk about is the Four Nations face-off and kind of preview that. But I highly doubt we're going to get to that because there's so much to talk about. Before we get too deep into this episode, though, if you are new to this channel, feel free to subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner, smash the like button as well. Follow me on my social media pages. @Grant Hakim is my Twitter. @Grant_Hakim is the Instagram and Tickety Talk. If you want to get merch, join the Discord, or make a donation, all links will be in the video description. Right, let's start it off. Lou Lamoriello acquires Tony DeAngelo via free agency, if you want to say. Last he played, I think last time he played in the NHL was for the Rangers. Someone can correct me at home if that's not right. I don't have a computer in front of me because I'm driving. That'd be very dangerous to have my whole setup computer here. That'd be crazy, though. There's got to be some streamer out there who has like a dual monitor setup with a ring light in his car. I'm sure there's someone like in Beverly Hills or LA, a content creator who does that. But yes, Tony DeAngelo, the last he played, though, because he was playing this year, it was in the KHL for some Russian team, and I didn't have a chance to look at his stats if he was any good in Russia this season. But I mean, I'll be honest, of all the defensemen that were available, Tony DeAngelo definitely was best available for free and free agency. So I don't necessarily disagree with what Lou Lamoriello did there, considering the injuries that we have on our blue line with Dobson being out long term. We obviously have Mike Riley, who's out. Ryan Pulock now just got hurt, and we have no idea if he's going to be back soon. So it was definitely a good pickup in my opinion. And look, you might be yelling at the computer or phone right now and being like, but Grant, it's Tony DeAngelo, right? He's shown before in the past his like political viewpoints on social media. He caused the scuffle with Georgiev in the tunnel with the Rangers. Like, this guy's just bad news. And I'll put my hands up and say the first time that I saw the news on Twitter, my first reaction was like, oh, this guy? Like, he just seems like a locker room cancer, this guy. Considering he started a fight with Georgiev. And to my knowledge, Alexander Georgiev seems like a pretty chill dude. He's a goaltender after all. Seems like a pretty chill guy. And started a fight with him. And then that was kind of my big gripe. I wasn't so, like, upset about the social media right-wing stuff that he posts. Personally, in my opinion, I don't care. I think your political viewpoints should have no impact on your ability to get a job in hockey, and honestly in real life as well. I think it's separate. As long as you're nice and kind to people at the workplace and you get the work done, I don't think what you believe in should matter, or what you do outside of work should matter. That's just how I've always seen it. But of course, I think people have every right to be upset with Tony DeAngelo and, you know, what he's posted in the past. But look, he's a New York Islander, and you got to embrace it. He's part of the team now. He's family now. And I'll be honest, the first couple games, because he played in the Carolina game and in the Colorado game, I've been very surprised at how good he has looked for us. Like, he just looks like going to be a solid defenseman. Like, in both games, there wasn't like one point where I was like, oh my God, Tony, like, what the hell are you doing there? That was a stupid play. Very smart. And one thing I will say that I do like about Tony DeAngelo, he definitely provides some grit and physicality on the blue line that a Noah Dobson or Pulak wouldn't necessarily provide, or Mike Riley provide. He's not like, I wouldn't say Alexander Romanov, you know, crazy with the hip checks, but he is a physical presence on the ice. And one of my favorite moments so far of DeAngelo was, I think it was in the first game against Carolina, someone kind of touched Hogberg after the whistle, and he went after him right away and got him out of the crease, gave him a little shot to the chest. And that's what we need. We need that toughness. You need to have that physicality, especially in front of the net, protecting the goalie. If anyone touches, I don't even care if anyone like gives a little love tap on the bum to Hogberg or Sorokin. As soon as they touch them, you got to sit them down. That's what you got to do as a defenseman. That's how I was taught when I was younger. If anybody touched my goalie, they were sitting down. So good to see that out of DeAngelo. And he's just looked great. Honestly, I think he's going to be a good replacement for Dobson for now. Obviously, long term, we'd rather have Noah Dobson. And to be honest, I don't know if he's going to stay long term as well. I'd have to double check on how old he is. Someone in the comment section can let me know, of course. But I think he's got to be like upper 20s. So signing him long term, I don't think would be the smartest move. But we'll see what happens, right? We have a short sample size of Tony DeAngelo. He's looked good so far. We'll see what he does throughout the rest of the season. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see him play. He's looked good so far. Again, I love guys who have that extra bite and grit to their game. DeAngelo has that. And he looks so far, all the guys in the locker room, the Pageaus, the Lees, I think Romanov, they all like him, so seems like a good fit. And honestly, it seems like anyone who joins the Islanders, it's a good fit. So, oh my gosh, I'm driving right now, and this license plate in front of me says Vin's mom. So shout out to Vin's mom if you're watching. I think your son in the Nissan Rogue here loves you a lot. He's got a whole license plate dedicated to you. I would never go that far. That's a bit far for me. I would not put my mom's name on my license plate. I do love her a lot, but not to the point where she's going on my license plate. I think that's a bit far. But sorry, I got distracted by that. So yeah, that's Tony DeAngelo. The next guy that we acquired, this was via a trade now. Actually, let me get a sip of water. I'm getting thirsty. The next guy that we acquired, this was via a trade from the St. Louis Blues. We acquired Scott Perunovich from the Blues, defenseman. This is basically, we got this, or Lou did this trade because of the Pulak injury. So we acquired Scott Perunovich from the Blues for a 5th-round pick, conditional 5th-round pick, which, I mean, 5th-round pick, I'm not too butthurt. And I've been on this channel and I've told you on the show that the Islanders shouldn't be giving up assets to get players. In this case, however, I'm totally fine with it. It's a 5th-round pick. I mean, it's a crapshoot once you get that deep into a draft. You have no idea what guy you're going to get. You could get Ilya Sorokin. I think like the Minnesota Wild got like Kaprizov in like the 4th or 5th round. I mean, it's a total crapshoot on who you're going to get. So I'm not too butthurt about losing a draft pick in this case. And also, the reason why I do like this deal a lot is because we're getting a young defenseman. Like, he's only 26, Scott Perunovich. And I'm honestly surprised to see that he was healthy scratch so much for the Blues this season. And I talked to one of my good friends on Twitter who's a Blues fan. We DM'd on Twitter a little bit. And he told me that Scott Perunovich was one of their top 4 defensemen, even with the addition of Cam Fowler to their blue line. He was still a top 4 defenseman, but the reason why he was healthy scratched so much was because of his size. He's only 5'10". I'm taller than Scott Perunovich, which is kind of crazy. Usually NHL defensemen are around like 6 foot-ish. 5'10" is kind of short for a defenseman. But one thing I do love about Perunovich, solid defenseman. I watched him in college quite a bit. He played at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Shout out the Duluth Bulldogs. Even though I'm a Gopher fan, I'll give them a shout out. Won back-to-back Natty champs with Duluth, I believe in 2018 and 2019 or 19 and 20? I think the 2020 season got canceled, so I think it would have been 18 and 19. It went back-to-back. And then his 3rd year at Duluth, even though the season got canceled during COVID, he won the Hobey Baker Award, which, if you don't know college hockey, the Hobey Baker Award, it's awarded out every single year to the top college hockey player, and Scott Perunovich won that, which is a huge honor to win the Hobey Baker. Guys like Johnny Gaudreau have won it in the past. I think Jack Eichel won it. Someone can correct me about that. I'm pretty sure he won it. So top guys win it, and Scott Perunovich won it that year. So it's amazing to have, someone like that on the hockey team as well. He's obviously very talented. He showed it at the collegiate level. Hasn't really shown it. He also played on Team USA at the World Juniors, and I'd have to look at his stats again, but I think he had a pretty solid World Juniors. I don't have a specific memory of Perunovich for Team USA, but it is what it is. Seems like a solid defenseman. He was great in college. Hasn't really panned out so far at the NHL. And look, I'm willing. If I was GM of this team, I 1,000% am willing to sacrifice a 5th-round pick to take a shot on this kid. There's lots of upside with Scott Perunovich. And so far, he's only played 1 game, right, against Colorado. I think he got an assist on one of the goals in the 3rd period. I think it was on the Bo Horvat goal. He made a smart play. Puck was kind of at the blue line. It came up at the blue line. They had, Colorado were rushing 2 guys at him. There was no pass available, so we just dumped it right in, did the smart play, and it led to the Bo Horvat goal, which ended up being the game winner. So I can't comment too much on Scott Perunovich's play other than he was amazing in college, and he has lots of upside, and he is 26. He's still figuring things out. He hasn't played consistently in the NHL, so you got to give him kind of a leash in terms of his development and if he makes mistakes or not, and just be nice to him on Twitter, people, right? He's still young. He's still figuring things out in the NHL. Give him time. Give him some patience. Or have some patience. And that's kind of my attitude towards any young player on our team or in any team in general. If you're a fan, like, if there's a guy who's like 26, 27 and younger, let him have, some wiggle room to make mistakes. Don't be so hard on them, let them make mistakes, let them grow, let them develop. That's how I've always seen it when it comes to NHL players or any pro player of any league, even soccer, and just in general too. Have a little patience. Have a little patience with them. But no, I really like the move. It's always nice to add another Minnesota boy to the lineup. He's from Hibbing, Minnesota, which is, I think Hibbing, that's way up north. I'd never been to Hibbing. I think the furthest north that I've been in Minnesota was Silver Bay. You can look that up on Google Maps. Silver Bay. I know I've been up further. I've been up to Lake of the Woods. What am I talking about? But in terms of like hockey, right? I had a hockey tournament in Silver Bay once, which is like north of Duluth, if you know where that is. Probably not interested. I'm sure a lot of you guys are from New York, so I'm just dropping some Minnesota knowledge for you. So if you ever do visit Minnesota, there you go. Tell them you know Hibbing and Duluth and Silver Bay, and then you'll seem like you're from here, basically. But right, those were our two moves that we made. I'm curious to see what we're going to do at the trade deadline, which is in about a month and a half from now. I think it's like the middle of March, the trade deadline. I don't have the exact date. I'm conflicted, honestly, because before we went on this 5-game winning streak, I was like, I'm fine if we get rid of Brock, get rid of Anders Lee, get rid of everybody, was kind of my mentality. But watching this team during this 5-game winning streak, it's hard to take your heart and emotions from this team. They've meant so much to me throughout my entire life, and I'd be devastated to see, Brock Nelson leave, devastated to see Anders Lee go, just like when Kyle Poso left in the summer that one year. I was very devastated. The Islanders just were never the same for me. So I have very similar feelings towards Brock and Anders. Both guys are from Minnesota. I watched them both in college, respectively, at North Dakota and Notre Dame. And I'd be sad to see them go, especially if I'm hearing rumors that Brock might go to the Wild, which I wouldn't like because I don't like the Wild that much, even though I live here. I'm not a fan of the Wild. I just find them annoying, honestly. Because you have to understand, from my point, I'm an Islanders fan. I'm in enemy territory in Minnesota, and everyone talks about the Wild all the time. At the workplace, people want to talk Wild to me. I'm just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. We're in the tunnel, through the Lincoln Tunnel. Shout out Elf. But yeah, I don't know. I just never been a big Wild guy. I don't know. And I can't watch the games anyway because on ESPN all the games are blacked out. So if you did go to the Wilds, it wouldn't work. But yeah, there's nothing that I necessarily hate about the Wild specifically. It's just that it's just annoying that I get bombarded by people about the Wild, advertisements about the Wilds. Just it's coming in both directions. So that's why I love traveling and seeing like different ads for different sports teams, because when you live in one place your whole life, it kind of gets kind of old, especially for a team that you don't care about. So that'd be sad to see him go. But this happens every year, though. I feel like the Islanders around the trade deadline, they always go on some crazy win streak to keep the team together, because they know that maybe they don't know. I'm sure they do. They know if they keep losing, Lou is going to trade people away. I would hope so. I don't know what's going on in Lou's head. He's like 80. He's as old as like the T-Rexes, and I have no idea what goes on in his head. I think it's just a miracle every day that we see him get dressed and go to a game at this point. I have no idea. He's definitely not cognitively there as much as he was before. But yeah, I mean, I'd be sad. I'm not going to lie. Would it be the right thing to do? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not the right thing to do to keep all these guys just for sentimental reasons. That's stupid. this is a business after all, and the goal of this franchise, of this hockey club, and that me and you want is to win a Stanley Cup. And if it means getting rid of Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, Pajot, a lot of other guys, I'm here for it. It'd be sad, of course. But I watched the ESPN coverage, and they had Emily Kaplan on, who's a great analyst for the NHL. Shout out Emily Kaplan. Make sure you give her a follow on Twitter. She's amazing. They asked her about the Islanders' plans at the trade deadline, and she didn't necessarily give any. I thought she was going to give more of an inside scoop on what's going to happen. There really wasn't an inside scoop other than that. If the Islanders keep winning, Lou's going to add. Like, if we're in a playoff race, if we're within, like, a couple points for a playoff spot come trade deadline, we're going to add. And a guy that I've seen thrown around quite a bit is Elias Pettersson. And if we somehow did acquire Elias Pettersson, I can see your smiling face at home. I'm smiling too. If we somehow got Elias Pettersson for cheap, I would be for it. I think he's 26, he's young, lots of room to grow. We've seen what he can do when he's really going in Vancouver. He's obviously struggling this year because of the JT Miller rift that's going on between them. That's obviously impacting his game. He's not that bad. He's a really good player. The stats don't show it this year. But if we could somehow get Elias Pettersson on this team and keep Noah Dobson and get rid of Paul Mary, or I don't know who else we'd get rid of, Pajot. I don't know, even if it was Brock, do you think that would be a good deal? Getting rid of Brock Nelson, maybe some draft picks for Elias Pettersson. I can let you guys figure that out in the comment section. I don't think that's necessarily a bad deal. A young forward who can play with Barzal and Horvat. And that's a great line, Barzal, Horvat, and Elias Pettersson for a second-line center, basically, in Brock Nelson. I don't think that's a bad deal at all. And maybe some draft picks. But, I mean, is this team good enough to win a Stanley Cup, though? That's the thing. Yes, it'd get more butts in the seats. I'd be more, excited to watch Islander games every night to see that first line play. But for the long-term success of this hockey club, is this team good enough to win a Stanley Cup? And I still haven't seen anything that shows me that they're there, that they're right there. The only time that I can say where I felt like we had a legit shot to win a Stanley Cup was the second bubble run when we added Zajac and Palmieri. I was totally on board with that because I felt like we had a legit shot to win a cup, and we almost did. We were a game away from making it to a final against Montreal, and I'm pretty sure, we all could agree that I think they would have beaten Montreal in like 5 or 6 games, to be honest with you. But yeah, if they add Elias Pettersson, it's because we're in the playoff spot. And then Emily Kaplan said that if we're out of a playoff spot, the consensus around the National Hockey League is that we're going to be sellers at the deadline, which means Brock Nelson is going to get shopped. I don't know if Anders Lee necessarily would be. She didn't mention Anders Lee. I don't know his contract. Someone can let me know his contract situation down below. I'm not good with contracts and numbers, to be quite honest with you. Never have been. I'm trying to get better at it. Sometimes it's still a little bit confusing for me as well. I'm trying to think. Pajot, I think, is a guy who could get shopped. I think he could go back to Ottawa. He'd be a good fit for the Ottawa team again. Reunion. But yeah, I think the trade deadline, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If we do add people, I wouldn't be so upset about it. If it is Pettersson, if it's not Pettersson, then I don't think we should add. I think the only guy we should add is Pettersson, if you are going to add someone. But if it's for anyone else, no. It's got to be Pettersson or nothing, basically is how I feel at the trade deadline. If he's available, honestly, I'd go and get him. I think he'd be great for the team and for the. I guess it'd be a good future move too. He's young. I've kind of convinced myself into saying it's a good future move now. So get Pedersen, Lou Lamoriello, if you're watching. Please get Lou Lamoriello. No, Lou Lamoriello. Please get Pedersen. Mixing up my words here. Well, all right. I'm getting close to where I need to be for work. I appreciate everybody tuning in on the road edition. We'll do more of these because it's easy to film, easy to do. We'll do more of these. We're going to talk Islanders. We didn't get to Four Nations at all. That's okay. We can talk about that some other time. We got like a month till, less than a month now, about 2-3 weeks till the tournament starts, so we can talk about it then. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I mentioned before, feel free to subscribe at bottom right-hand corner. Smash that like button as well. Follow me on my socials. I'm not going to say it again because I said it before. If you want to get merch, join the Discord, or make a donation, all links are going to be in the video description. Thank you again for watching this, talking about Islanders while driving. It's what I do anyways, to be quite honest with you, just in my head. So it's nice to be able to talk and do it with you lovely people. Thank you for accompanying me on my commute, and I shall speak to you soon. You're going to watch me do a perfect park job here. Look at this. Backing into a spot. The only way to park properly is to back in my opinion. Easy out. Especially if you're in a parking ramp for a sporting event. Easy out. Easy out. Perfect. Thank you. We'll speak to you soon, everybody.